Dogecoin takes over Twitter. Altcoins start pumping. Welcome to Debate Crypto. Question everything, trust nothing. All right, guys, here we are for another episode of Magic Money Monday. We've got the one, the only Forrest on here. What's going on, man? How you been?
Pretty good, man. Can't complain. Doge pumping a little bit. It's always good to see. Maybe we get a little altcoin pump. We'll see how it turns out.
Yeah, dude, I'm excited, right? I mean, I didn't expect this at all for this to be happening. And actually, Sin City Crypto, shout out to them. They called it about 6 months ago, I think, on ATB. Uh, Robin from Sin City said that maybe Elon would switch the Twitter logo to Doge, and it came true, man. It's happened, and obviously Doge, has been pumping since then. It hit like almost 10 cents or 11 cents. We still got Bitcoin flirting with 28,000, doesn't know where it's gonna go. But I wanted to get your thoughts, right? There's a lot of things that have been happening, not just in crypto, but in the markets overall. I just want to give a quick shout out before we get into that to everybody in the chat. What's up, Ken? What's up, Visionary Vet? Unforgettable Name, Green Day Profits, Secret Soul Society. What's going on? I hope everyone is smashing the likes. Make sure you guys share out the stream. Subscribe if you're not subscribed already. But here's my question to you, Forrest. What do you think when you see all of these countries right now, moving away from the dollar, using their own currency for oil prices starting to go up because of the oil production cut that they announced? How does that make you feel?
I mean, honestly, I don't blame them. As much as I like the United States, and as much as I'd like our economy to remain as strong as possible, with what we've done with the dollar and how we use that power to influence the rest of the world. I don't blame them. I don't blame them for switching off. Is something that we've been keeping track of for a while at Sistine Research. We've talked about, you know, uh, Russia and Iran potentially, discussing a gold-backed stablecoin to facilitate oil trade. I believe now they're switching the Chinese yuan. Russia is so. Look, I mean, at the end of the day, when the U.S. dollar has been the world reserve currency for a long period of time, and the U.S. government and the Federal Reserve has a lot of power to influence the rest of the world. I just can't blame other countries for not wanting to be subject to that influence anymore. I think you might be muted. At least I can't hear you.
My bad. I got like 5 mute buttons now. I got a soundboard. I got all kinds of stuff going on. So sometimes I forget where I mute myself. So I was saying that, with everything that's happening with the dollar, right? They've weaponized it to sanction all these countries. They hit the money printer whenever they want to, devalue the currency. I think like you said, right? All these countries are waking up to the fact that, hey, we can create our own currency and we don't have to keep dealing with this shenanigans from the US dollar anymore. And I'm not saying that the dollar is going to die tomorrow. I honestly don't think that's a realistic viewpoint at all. But it does point out that the dollar's in trouble. Countries are waking up, and this is something that we definitely want to be paying attention to. I know that everything that's happening in the media right now has us distracted from that. Right? They're talking about Andrew Tate getting out. They're talking about Donald Trump going back in, right, into the whole court case scenario. And everybody's caught up on that drama and that dilemma. Nobody is paying attention to what's happening outside. No, there's no coverage about what's happening in France. There's no coverage about what's happening with the dollar. So, I just hope people are paying attention that don't get scared into thinking, well, dollars are going to zero tomorrow, because that's not going to happen, in my opinion. But I definitely think the dollar is in trouble. Do you think the dollar can make a comeback from this, or do you think that this is just the beginning of the downhill slope for it?
I think it's the beginning, and the way that the dollar gets back on track is probably through war. Unfortunately, So, going into other countries, in the past, when countries have tried to move off of the dollar, they found themselves invaded by the United States or in some sort of conflict where the United States has been involved in some way or another. So, we could see that pattern repeat, and maybe the dollar does get back on track. Potentially we sanction China for moving, trying to facilitate a move off the dollar. It's probably going to get ugly, but I don't think the United States is just going to roll over and say, especially if we get a new administration in the next election, I just don't think that the United States is going to just roll over and give up the dollar and all of the power that it has over the rest of the world, being the world reserve currency. So it's unclear what exactly that's going to entail and what exactly that's going to look like, but it's probably pretty messy.
Dude, I agree as well. I don't think the US is going to give up in any shape, form at all from what's happening with the dollar. The Pentagon's already come out talking about ramping up their budget to prepare for a war with China. Right now, they came out with the news about the balloon and how China was able to get important information from the balloon. And I think that led us into the Restrict Act, which then I think puts us in a curious position, right? Because if the Restrict Act goes through and they, according to the act, once it's banned, once something is banned, they catch you on a VPN or something, then it's like 20 years or $250,000 because you're using something that's banned. Do you think, and this is going to be the last question before we move into the TA on some altcoins, do you think that they could potentially flip the switch and say, we're banning Bitcoin now that the Restrict Act is in place? If we catch you, you get 20 years.
If they try that, I think you're going to get civil war. I think you're going to get so much civil unrest. I think just in general, you see the first person go to prison for using a VPN to access TikTok, and you're going to see riots in the street. I don't know whether or not this particular bill will be passed, but to me, it's just absolute insanity. My personal, and I think there's actually strong arguments for and against the regulation of TikTok in particular in the United States. I think it's a complicated subject, but our arguments against this bill is obviously the power that it gives over. You can TikTok's probably bad, right? It's probably not great for another country like China that is an opponent in pretty direct opposition of the United States to just be able to be collecting data on everybody in our country freely. But at the same time, this bill is just so far overreaching, and it's not necessarily. It just gives the government too much power, and when the government takes power, they don't like to give it back. So I think this bill's just, it's not the right solution to getting rid of TikTok. I mean, the idea of using a VPN getting you 20 years in prison is absolute insanity.
It's freaking wild, dude. Wild, right?
Yeah.
They can just say you get 20 years of your life taken away because we caught you using an app that we just deemed that you don't need to use just because we said so, right? That is crazy. So with that being said, banned applications, technologies, restrictions, freedom of speech. Twitter today, Elon Musk, right, switches the logo from the bird to the dog, and now Dogecoin has blasted off, gone crazy. Are you surprised by this? And do you expect more upward momentum? Do you think that Doge can hit a new all-time high with antics like this?
I think all-time high is going to have to require direct integration into Twitter, which I don't think is going to happen. I think this is a publicity stunt personally, and I think honestly this might have been intended to be an April Fool's Day prank. Just the fact that we're 2 days off of April 1st, and maybe, just maybe, it was delayed because they couldn't figure. There's been a lot of skepticism about how big is Twitter and how small is the team, and does anybody actually know how anything works over there? I don't know. I would imagine changing the Twitter logo would be pretty easy, but maybe they got delayed with the rollout of that. Maybe they will integrate Twitter or integrate Dogecoin in some way, some form or fashion, But I personally just think that with how much Twitter and Elon Musk are struggling financially right now, that may not be the best decision. I think priorities are probably higher elsewhere for getting the platform back on track. And this is probably just a publicity stunt, Elon Musk's way of staying in the news, right? Staying in, getting people engaged on Twitter, getting people buzzing, getting them talking about this and speculating.
Yep.
I don't necessarily think that a payments integration through Dogecoin is necessarily the top of mind. Maybe they'll do some sort of tipping in Dogecoin, but even that, I don't know if that's going to send Dogecoin to new all-time highs.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think Dogecoin is going to hit new all-time highs anytime soon, right? But what worries me is that a lot of people that are in the Doge community, right, that are just all about it, don't really pay attention to the inflation rate. I think it's like 5 million tokens per day or something like that that gets generated. Like it's a pretty high inflation rate. Do you think that with that inflation rate, Elon can still get that coin to pump in the next bull market into new all-time highs? I mean, this is just speculation, right? This is just you and me talking. What are your thoughts? I think it's possible, but dude, I'm worried about those coin holders.
Yeah, it really depends. I mean, it's like, how speculative of a bull market are we going to get? If we see the same levels of speculation as we did last bull market, I think Doge will probably do the same thing it always does, where it just pops up, makes a new all-time high, and then crashes right back down. I don't, I could see Dogecoin making a new all-time high, but I don't see it sustaining all-time high levels over a significant period of time. At the end of the day, Doge is a meme coin instrument that a lot of traders take advantage of. The people that are hodling Dogecoin are the ones that are just having their portfolio just dwindle away slowly due to the inflation, due to traders extracting money from Dogecoin. Look, you want to buy Dogecoin when things are quiet, when it's flat, when it's bottomed out, and then sell it when it pumps. Buying it to hodl it is, in my opinion, not a great strategy. I think there's better opportunities for hodling cryptocurrency, like Bitcoin or ETH or something like that. But I mean, I could see it popping up to a new all-time high temporarily.
Agreed, dude. Agreed. I don't think holding Dogecoin long term is a good strategy either. Obviously, not financial advice to anybody on here, but it's just one of those things. The inflation rate of it is something that a lot of people don't pay attention to, and it's definitely a problem. So let's jump into some of these altcoins, right? What are you seeing for Ethereum? Ethereum's been holding pretty strong here at 1800, high 1700. Can Doug got excited about Ethereum apparently. Can
Nice.
ETH hold and keep pushing to that 2000 range?
Yeah, I think the range everyone has marked out here for ETH is this $2,000 level. If you can see my screen here, so that was our prior resistance, and if we throw on our margin pressure levels, which just marks out where does the buy pressure start to subside due to people not being able to get leveraged at the same 2x long amount off of keeping their liquidation points below this local low over here. And that's at exactly $2,000. And that's why we saw some resistance early on in our last run up, our last high of 2022. $2,000 was quite a bit of resistance. Now, the question is whether or not these higher lows in this uptrend in general could potentially help push us past this $2,000 to $2,050 region up to maybe $2,700, maybe $3,000 if we got a speculative enough period of time for Ethereum. Now, I'm very bullish on Ethereum in the long term. And I actually think that the Ethereum versus Bitcoin ratio is a little bit oversold right now. And that Bitcoin's been running the show. Bitcoin dominance, if I go to the Bitcoin dominance chart, is high right now towards the top of its range. And I know everybody loves to jump on, to the idea that, Bitcoin dominance is going to run back up and break out of this range. That's fine. I mean, until it proves that it's actually going to break out, I personally, when it comes to ranges, you're almost always, from a statistical standpoint, you're almost always going to be better playing off the ranges and saying, okay, Bitcoin's been running the show here, but it's probably time for a pullback and a little bit of an altcoin run. And even in a pullback in dominance from 47% down to 44%, I'm not saying Bitcoin's going to zero or anything. In fact, I think Bitcoin will probably continue its uptrend. But what I'm saying here is I think we may be a little bit due for an alt season, a little bit due for an alt run, right? Especially if Bitcoin can push through $30,000. We talk about, the 24, 25K support level that maybe it goes back and tags first. But if Bitcoin can sustain over $30,000 and we see some speculation in Dogecoin, some speculation in altcoins, I actually think that Ethereum's overdue to outperform Bitcoin a little bit in a little bit of an alt run. And maybe that's where we see it go up and tag $2,600, $2,700 or so. In the meantime, I do want to just take a peek here at RSI. Throw all the RSI on. And yeah, I mean, what you'll start to see is, this potential bearish divergence. No, that's not even bearish divergence. We have a little bit of bearish divergence on Bitcoin actually on the daily, but it looks like Ethereum is relatively clean. So yeah, maybe maybe you could call that bearish divergence. Maybe we get a correction if Bitcoin corrects, but otherwise I am pretty bullish on ETH. $2,000 would be the target, and that would be the level that you actually want to watch for a breakout. Now, as far as our just general pattern goes here, this is a massive ascending triangle, a really, really big one. And that's a reversal bottoming pattern, very bullish pattern. When you break through, make support on top of it, you actually target significantly higher levels. And I'll show you another example of this ascending triangle. And that was with the last time that Ethereum actually bottomed out. We had a smaller ascending triangle, though it was still a pretty big one. Once Ethereum broke out of this ascending triangle, made support on the back of it, that's where we actually got this rip, right, from $150 ETH all the way up to $365. So that's still a 137% pump once we actually broke out of the pattern. I'm not saying we're going to get 137% pump, but a 50% pump off of a really bullish pattern like this up to maybe $3,000 is not out of the question. People, have bear market PTSD. And I don't even think that we're in a bull market. What I do think, though, is that we are in a bullish trend, right? We're starting to make higher lows and higher highs, both in many altcoins, but also particularly in Bitcoin. Bitcoin's in this very, very nice uptrend, right? So I want to trade with the trend upwards, and I'm going to be long. Now we are towards the top of this really sloppy channel that I just drew out. So again, we're looking at Bitcoin. We could very easily see a pullback and then a continuation of this trend. That pullback might be to 24, 25K. But I'm looking to buy the dips in Ethereum until proven otherwise, and until the S&P 500 gives us a signal that maybe the risk assets need to are potentially going back down into a deeper recession or a deeper pullback. But for right now, we're in an uptrend, and I do think that Ethereum could end up breaking out of this pattern and sending up higher.
Dude, that's great, bro. I mean, I wanted to ask you, so like with diminishing returns, right? I understand we're definitely not in a bull market just yet, right? But you did say we are in a bullish trend. But with diminishing returns coming up, right, and in the next bull cycle, how realistically how high do you think Ethereum could hit, if you have some type of speculation, or just maybe you're charting that out already? What are your thoughts on that?
Like next market cycle, or just in this bear market
like,
rally?
do you think hitting 10K for ETH next cycle is a realistic number?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think 5 to 10,000. 5,000 is, we almost hit it already. 5,000 is right there. I do think 10K ETH is not only likely, I think it's inevitable to some degree. The path to get there might not be straight, but people forget how quickly, once we get into an actual bull market, how quickly ETH can actually move and how aggressively it can move. Especially if Bitcoin's running after the next Bitcoin halving, which is in March of 2024. So, again, we're a year out. We're 11 months out now. A lot can happen between now and then. But once that Bitcoin halving actually occurs, and I believe the last one was in like May 2020. Right, we went sideways. We had the bear market rallies, we had a slow bleed off, we had another rally, we had COVID, and then once the halving actually occurred, it goes parabolic, right? So people want to, people have bear market PTSD, and they're like, oh, Ethereum, 10K Ethereum, that's never going to happen. It's like, it probably will, in my opinion. But we could get something. We could certainly get something like this, where we actually come back and test some of these lows after a bear market rally, and that, moving into the next halving, people would be completely demoralized if we went up and tagged $3,000 and then came all the way back down to 1,000. That's a 64% correction. That's a bear market in and of itself, right there, a bear market correction. So I could absolutely see us following something quite similar to what we did last cycle, where we see this bear market rally and then we get a long bleed off, right? And then going into the next halving, we start moving again. And then the other thing is Ethereum supply. I'm a big fan of deflationary tokenomics, or low inflation, or even Bitcoin, which is disinflationary. There's $21 million hard cap, and then the inflation rate is cut in half every 4 years. I'm a big fan of tokenomics, and when you actually look at Ethereum's tokenomics, they're, from a inflation standpoint, they're actually better than Bitcoin, because there's a burn mechanism and you have a deflationary situation. And to kind of demonstrate that, I'll go to this website called ultrasound.money. And a lot of people get into this debate, Bitcoin versus Ethereum, and you can be a fan of both, and they're kind of different things. They're, one's a smart contract network, one's designed more as this ideal sound money store value type situation. But you can see that Ethereum supply has now been deflationary. Is it super deflationary? No. That wouldn't, a ton of deflation probably wouldn't be a good situation either. But 0.28% per year deflation, that's really, really nice in terms of actually becoming sound money, and not inflating the supply and debasing the currency over time. So when you add that in, and you kind of understand the tokenomics and how sensitive that makes the overall supply of Ethereum to increase in demand. And keep in mind, we are seeing very low demand right now. The demand has greatly diminished. We got huge demand going in the speculative bull market, right? And then demand diminished, and supply got dumped, and we've pushed down. But now with some of the upgrades, the IP 1559, which creates that burn function for Ethereum, where part of the gas fees get burned, and then we've got the merge here, where people are going to be more inclined, or not the merge. We had the merge, which moved us to proof of stake, meaning that the miners aren't selling a bunch of Ethereum every day. And now we've got the Shanghai fork on, I believe, April 12th, which is going to allow people to stake more confidently, because they'll be able to withdraw their staked Ethereum at any point in the future. Very little demand, when the supply to tokenomics are so good that the incoming supply is small, or actually negative, right? You have these vectors pushing price up over time. And if we actually go into period of time where we get speculation in a Bitcoin halving scenario, and we see crypto get another bull market, people are going to pile into Ethereum, because the tokenomics are really, really solid, and people like that, and they feel it's the opposite of Dogecoin, where you're eating 4% inflation per year, or whatever it is. You're getting negative inflation, and people are going to feel more comfortable storing their money there. So I'm a big fan of Ethereum long term. I absolutely think we can go up and tag 5, 10K in the next bull market cycle. Do I think we'll go up to 10K and just sustain it forever? No. Maybe we go up and we shoot up to 17K, and then we fall back down, and 5K, 4.8, 5K is our kind of our new base, right? That's
What a
usually how
wild
these
ride
markets work.
would that be?
Yeah. I mean,
If
that's how
we
these markets work. I
buy
mean,
up
you
there.
get these big parabolic moves, and then you overcorrect to the downside, and then you find an equilibrium at some point, and then you go into the next bull market cycle, and you onboard new people into the market, and they push the price up further.
Dude, 100%. I mean, I truly do believe that we can crack 10,000 on Ethereum in this next cycle. And you just stated all the reasons why, right? The deflationary, the fact that there's such a lower demand that there is when there is during a bull market. I think ETH can go astronomical and go way past 10K. I mean, I've compared it to before, and other people have, is to digital oil, right? It's just the largest smart contract platform on here. in the crypto space. That's not going to go away anytime soon. No, even though there can be other chains that are faster, cheaper, whatever. ETH is just one of these monsters, right? Just like Bitcoin, that is just a staple in the space, and people are bullish on it. People are going to be holding on it. There's going to be institutional demand for it, and it's just I just don't see anything bearish about Ethereum at all.
Yeah, especially on a longer term time frame over the next couple of years. I mean, I think it's only going to onboard new people and see higher and higher demand.
Yeah, dude. And talking about staples in the space, talk to me about BNB, right? BNB Binance right now has had a bunch of a bunch of issues, right? The CFTC or whatever it was, or the SEC came after Binance. They want to push Binance out, but the BNB token holds strong. It's one of the coins that no matter what kind of FUD is being thrown around about Binance, always holds very strong. Other coins, you get some bearish news and you get a massive dump right out of the gate, but BNB just holds on really strong all the time. So how do you see BNB headed into this next cycle? It went from $36 in the last bottom to like about 400, I believe, or so, or 500 in this last bull market. So what do you foresee it for its future?
Yeah, the thing with BNB is you got to be careful because it's a little bit more centralized. There's it's a little unclear who owns what and how much influence CZ from Binance may have over it, and how much influence the exchange has over it. From a smart contract network standpoint, Binance Smart Chain, yeah, they have a strong user base and low fees and high throughput. They're a little more centralized. They're getting a lot of competition from Arbitrum, a lot of competition from Optimism, some of these layer twos. So you got to be careful. But at the same time, let's say this is manipulated to some form or fashion. It's very likely manipulated to the upside, right? CZ wants to see this token do well, and we're actually, if we're willing to cut out a little bit of data, that's a big FTX random pump and then crash, right? And a little overreaction to the downside potentially. We are actually in a bullish pattern for BNB, right? We're in the same ascending triangle type pattern where we keep coming and pressing up against 330 to $350 or so, and struggling to break through. And then we keep finding that people continue to accumulate and put in these higher lows, right? And eventually we would probably expect a breakout to the upside. Now, does that mean that we can't come back down to 280 or so in the short term? Tag this as support again? Of course not, though. We could absolutely do that, and that would actually probably be a decent place to look to buy. So, am I somebody that looks to hold BNB long term? No, I just don't trust these centralized exchanges enough to really warrant doing that. But from a trading perspective, I think BNB is something that could have a really massive breakout just due to this ascending triangle pattern. If we throw on these easy bands here, we've got the 21-week simple moving average. Our green easy bands picking up a really, really good accumulation opportunity, essentially picking up the bottom, right? Somewhere between 230 all the way down to like 184. Great overextended region to pick up BNB, which is, as a top 5 cryptocurrency, that's where you want to be looking to pick stuff up when it becomes very overextended. If you believe in Binance Coin or Ethereum or Bitcoin or XRP, anything else in the top 10, and you think it's going to stick around in the top 10, when you want to be actually buying it is when it's very overextended against its simple moving averages, right? And when you want to be taking profits is up here in the red easy band zone. So if we were to get a breakout, we could certainly see the $400 to $500 level come into play. So BNB, very interesting given all of the FUD recently, but it's actually held up quite well. It's also one of those things where if ever there's, I hate to say an extreme amount of FUD because it's already faced an extreme amount of FUD, but if ever it were to go in undergo an FTX type situation where it collapsed, obviously it'd be a good potential short, but I don't see that happening here in the midterm with it as strong as it's held up under all the scrutiny from regulators.
Dude, 100% agreed. Like it would be a great shorting position, but it's just one of those things that it just holds so strong no matter what. And you mentioned FUD, right? Which leads me into my next question about Arbitrum. Right, Arbitrum's had a little bit of FUD lately. They released a bunch of tokens. They're not gonna. They weren't giving any governance, from my understanding. And before then, they had issues with their airdrop. So there's been little drama with Arbitrum, right? But some people are extremely bullish about Arbitrum. What are you seeing for that coin?
Yeah, so obviously we don't have a ton of price data, but what we do have is pretty decent little range here, above and below $1.25. That's been kind of our key pivot level. Right now we're below $1.25. Actually, I don't love Arbitrum as a long term hold. It just doesn't seem to have a super great value accrual mechanism. Um, it's was made had a huge airdrop, so for a lot of people it was free money. It's to my knowledge pretty much a governance only token, and so far that what we've seen recently is that those governance voting rights may not be very well respected, given the fact that they've recently tried to like push through a vote, and we're already acting on that vote before it was passed. And we'll see how it ends up. Obviously, the technology is phenomenal, and I do think that layer twos are going to be a bigger and bigger thing here. But from a technical perspective, with limited price data, we've got these psychological levels are usually pretty solid levels to be trading. Looking to short $1.50, right? Looking for a pivot around $1.25 for either a long or a short position, right? Like you're looking to short Arbitrum, you could certainly look for a retest of $1.25, turning into like a bear flag here and a push back down to $1. $1 is actually where I'd be pretty interested in taking a long, just because Arbitrum's new, and some of these new coins that are still kind of in price discovery can be pretty volatile. So under $1 looks pretty attractive for a little long, a little bounce, and maybe trade the range here, start developing a range. We could very easily see something like that be the bottom of our range, something like $1.50 being towards the top of our range, right? And be able to pick up the deviation below around $1 and trade that back up towards the top of our range, maybe around $1.40 or so. So, short term, more looking at just a trade than a long term accumulation. But it does have a lot of TVL, does have a lot of activity. So strong, pretty strong, mid cap cryptocurrency. Oh, you might be muted or frozen. I think you may be frozen, or else I'm frozen. Guys, let me know in the chat if you can still hear me, if I'm still live. Well, while we wait for Crusader to come back, if you guys can still hear me, we can still continue to run through some TA. All right, let me keep the stream going here. I'll go back to my screen. Let me know in the chat if there's anything in particular you want to take a peek at. Did we cover? We talked about Doge, but I don't think we talked about the TA levels. Let's find Doge. Doge. There we go. 10 cents. 10 cents is our psychological level, right? So we take off the easy bands here. We put on our price bias levels. We see that resistance levels held pretty decently recently. So it was kind of the perfect short level on the last high. So far, it's been holding as resistance. If we were to actually zoom in here, maybe to the 4 hour. No, this is pretty recent development. Maybe like the 15-minute. You see that initial rejection from 10 cents, right? Got pushed back down. Now we're breaking through and actually holding as support. So this is actually pretty bullish for Dogecoin. I think we'll probably break through 10 cents and go higher. I'm looking to potentially enter a small short at 12.5 cents, which is that next resistance level up in terms of our psychological levels. Let me go back out to like our daily here.
Sorry about that, guys. My
Oh,
internet
there you are.
just poofed out of nowhere, and then I was just gone, and now I'm back. Sorry about
Yeah,
that.
no
Go ahead,
worries. I
man.
think the stream was still able to hear me.
I hope so. I don't know.
Yeah, so we covered Arbitrum, and then I was just kind of jumping into the Dogecoin TA since it's been pumping today.
Yeah, perfect. You're a beast for keeping the show running. I mean, I was just stuck like, what is going on? Then I just realized, oh, no internet. But yeah,
Gotcha.
tell us what's going on with Doge.
Yeah, so we see this 10-cent level has been kind of that psychological level. It was a really good short the last time we came up and tapped it. We were unable to sustain price action, over 11 cents or so. 10 cents has been a solid resistance level, but if we zoom into the shorter term time frames to like the 15-minute, it does look like we may be making a little bit of support on top of 10 cents. We want to be careful here. Right, we want to be careful. Let me go put 10 cents exactly. This could very easily turn into a little deviation, right? And we hold as resistance and then move back down. Now, I think it'll depend. I mean, probably wake up tomorrow and wonder whether or not this Twitter, this Twitter logo is going to be a Dogecoin logo for another day or two, or how long this is actually going to take place for. But if we see support hold here, I'm targeting 12.5 cents as a level to potentially start shorting. And the reason being, if I go back out to the daily, we throw on our margin pressure levels from our most recent swing low. That's where you can no longer short, on 2x long leverage and keep that liquidation point down here. And we see these frequently end up being support and resistance levels along the way here. So that would be the target, looking to short it right back down to 10 cents or so, and just catch one of these bounces, right? Catch one of these moves. So nothing too crazy here. I want to be careful not to just jump into Dogecoin longs. If this ends up being the spark that pushes us into a bit of an alt season, then great. That is phenomenal. Then we will catch a lot of pumps in other stuff that is not Dogecoin, right? If this is the spark that brings back, a pullback in Bitcoin dominance, and we see altcoin dominance starting to run, then a lot of altcoins will perform well. We'll catch some, more solid altcoin opportunities within that pump. But just want to see how Dogecoin shakes out here in the next day or two. Look to short it at, I'm personally looking to short it at 12.5. If this thing just keeps ripping through 12.5 and it stops me out, that's fine. No big deal. That likely means that we're going to see altcoins start to pump, and we're going to make all that money back on other altcoin positions. So taking longs into an uptrend here. So yeah, that's how I'm approaching it. Did we lose Crusader again? Think we lost him again, guys. All right. I'm going to check the chat here and just see if there's anything. Optimism. Yeah, we can take a peek at optimism. Let me go back over here. All right. Optimism. Here's one of the issues with Optimism. It's very high inflation token. Like we go over the CoinGecko, and they have those airdrops as well. That kind of it's like it's double-edged sword because it's really great technology. Very bullish on layer 2s, very bullish on Ethereum in general, but low float, 314,000 circulating supply out of a $4.2 billion fully diluted valuation. So there's a ton of inflation with Optimism. So with these pumps upwards, you really want to look for those opportunities to actually short Optimism, right? I think the general uptrend, the general trend may remain upwards for quite some time as layer 2 see more and more adoption. But don't be surprised if we see, and maybe we get an altcoin run and even put in a new higher. But don't be surprised if we see a return back down to this just longer term trend line. So if you're actually looking for an entry for a long into optimism, I would advise to proceed with caution until we get down to this kind of longer term trend line that we've started to develop. A lot of times, people jump into these pumps and they get dumped on from people that have been, accumulating some of the optimism emissions and getting the airdrops and whatnot. So this is fighting a very upstream battle to move upwards with all of the inflationary pressures. If we look at some short levels, boom, there. The $1.64 becomes fairly attractive. We're actually on a pretty solid support level right now. Maybe 164. But honestly, I'd be more inclined to wait until this gets oversold. And I don't know if we have our easy band data yet. Yeah, it's starting to come back in. Yeah, we're well above the 21-week simple moving average on something that has high inflation. So for me, I'm just being patient here. And honestly, if I'm going to be speculating on a layer 2, I may want to speculate a little bit more on Arbitrum. That may have the narrative behind it right now. Otherwise, this just has some risk to the downside. Has some risks of the downside. I'd like to catch it maybe on an intersection of the green easy band level with the trend line, somewhere around $1.40, maybe even $1.50. That key psychological level. Let's remove these drawings. Let's throw on $1.50. That's going to be, prior support, front ran it as resistance multiple times, right? But a return back into this range might be more attractive for a long. Now, it's not to say we can't continue to pump here and continue this uptrend, but just be very careful. Be very careful with optimism. All right, guys. I think we lost Crusader again. We'll see if he comes back. If not, then we'll probably just do maybe one or two more and then round out the stream there. So long as the stream is live and you guys can still hear me, then might as well continue. So do let me know if there's anything in particular you want to take a peek at. I'm going to just scroll through here and see if anything jumps out. Crude oil just pumping as well, but that's due to the supply restrictions from OPEC. Some altcoins starting to show green today. Lido up 5%. Nothing really pumping super hard yet, aside from Dogecoin. But again, that's kind of an isolated incident. Crypto Billy wants to see GALA, sure. Another high inflation, low float token. Got to be very careful with this one. You start jumping in towards these red easy band levels. That's really where you want to be taking profits. We have seen a full mean reversion. In fact, we overshot the mean, right? Popped back up above it. Mean reverted again. And now we're consolidating. So if you're looking to play a continuation off of GALA, I'd be looking for 21-week simple moving average. Let me throw on some price bias levels, see if that gives us anything, maybe down at 25 cents, then or not 25, 2.5 cents. 5 cents has been a very key resistance level. So if we look at this, this 5 cent psychological level has been key. It's actually been a good level to short. We couldn't hold sustained price action over it. We deviated, right? We held it as resistance twice. Now we could potentially be, especially if we're going into an alt season here, an alt cycle here, look for the trigger to be a push up above 5 cents. We push up above 5 cents, hold it as support on either the daily or maybe even the 4 hour. Then that's the trigger to ride this up to 7.5 cents or even 10 cents or whatever 2x of this is. So that would be around 6 cents, which is, perfect. Our margin pressure levels line right up. Right. So if we throw on our margin pressure levels, this was a really, really great correction down to the 1x short level, right? That's your support. And this is where we're actually struggling to push through right here. This short level, the 2x short level, shorts are coming back in, trying to push this back through. If we can get through this, push up above 5 cents, then we could definitely see a push back up to 6 or maybe even 7.5 cents. So potential little trade there. I would be a little bit, cautious here, but overall, even just the patterns that we're seeing, potential inverse head and shoulders, right? Combined with what looks to be a break of the downtrend line and a little bit of a bump and run. 5 cents is the level to get through, though. I personally don't want to jump into this until it gets through 5 cents, and then we look for a continuation higher. And if this gets rejected or this just continues to ride down the trend line, right, you could look for a accumulation lower at around 2.5 cents, which would be our next psychological level down right there, which is where we actually found support, right? We got our deviation, our recovery, and our pump, right? So we'd be looking for something around 2.5 cents. Right. Anything in between there is a little bit dicey for me personally. So I'd be looking to buy 2.5 cents or buy the breakout and hold of support at around 5 cents.
Guys,
right,
I am back. I am back.
There you go. There he is.
I don't know what was going on. My internet went out, my camera went out, and doesn't want to work. I'm telling you, I don't know what kind of hacker got into my system and is messing around with me, but it's serious over here. So give me a second, see if I can get my camera on. But dude, you're a beast. I had to turn on my whole computer, turn it off, turn it back on. Took forever. I didn't even think the stream was still going. You're the best dude for keeping the stream going. You're a beast, my man.
Yeah, no worries at all. I stream every night on my channel. So, I was being really disciplined about doing it every night. Now, probably every couple nights I try to do a market update video or whatever. But, we just been doing a little bit of technical analysis. We did Optimism, we did Arbitrum, we did Doge. Now we just covered GALA. But yeah, I mean, I think it's more or less the same across a lot of these altcoins right now. We're really just, right now, we're hoping Dogecoin is the spark that is bringing the altcoin, altcoin dominance up and maybe Bitcoin dominance down, so we can get a nice little alt run here. Otherwise, Doge does have a history of being the top signal for a little bull run, a little bullish trend. So we want to be cautious there as well. Personally, if we look at Bitcoin here, the thing that I'm looking for is I want to hold support. I want to get rejected from this range. I don't want to re-enter. I don't want to re-enter, this kind of longer term range. What I don't want to see is this, right? And we start heading back into this zone and getting accepted back down here, then we could very easily see, something of that nature. What I do want to see is to test it, hold it as support, get rejected from it, and see a push higher up to above 30K. So, just think overall, so long as Bitcoin is holding steady here and holding above 25, 24, 25K, we've got some license to speculate a little bit, and hopefully we see a nice little alt run here. Let me see. We may have lost him again. Oh, there you are.
Sorry about that. I'm here. I almost dislocated my arm. I was reaching under my thing and something hit me right in the trap. This has been a disaster. I barely almost have even survived this show. Good Lord, I'm in so much pain right now. Dude, I appreciate so much that you kept the show going after all these technical difficulties. I am going to be ending the stream shortly just because I'm in so much pain and I don't know if I'm going to lose connection again. So like I said, dude, I appreciate you coming out so much and, really keeping the show running. Great information. I did catch some of that tail end of the Bitcoin TA. But yes, guys, just everybody just question everything. By the way, just final words for the people. Where can they find you? I know your link down below is in for Twitter, but let the people know what you're doing.
Yeah. So I recently changed the name of my YouTube channel for the second time in a short period of time. Just kind of figuring out branding and branding around this NFT that I was telling you about before the stream started. So it's actually called Ute Street. I typed it into the chat there. it's kind of being branded around this NFT project that is blowing up right now, and it's it'll make a lot of sense in the future. I know a lot of people don't necessarily know about this project yet, but expecting it to potentially be pretty mainstream, like Bored Apes are to some degree. So I think it's a branding decision that we're making to build a community around, and it's that's the name of the YouTube channel. We've also got a Discord community.
Oh, so now your YouTube channel is called Utes Street.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. I couldn't find it earlier. I was like, man, I can't find 0x Stacker. I can't find I think it was 16 research before, something like that. I was like, I can't find it. I just found your Twitter. But dude, it's awesome. The Utes, I do believe, are gonna be blue chip. They, like you said, they did just migrate over from Solana to Polygon. And I believe it's definitely, it looks super cool too. Like he looks like a stock broker out there, like Wolf on Wall Street. So it's perfect branding, perfect alignment. It just shows you the utility of NFTs, dude. Like you're making a whole brand off already a brand that's already existing. And it's great. I love the NFT collaboration with your YouTube channel and all the research that you're doing. So I love it, man. So your link to your Twitter is down below. Like he said, YouTube channel, Ute Street. Anything else for the people?
No, that's it, guys. Be cautious. Look, at the end of the day, we're sitting here, we're in a little bullish trend, but don't be fooled. This thing could look, the economy is not in a great spot. The yield curve is very inverted. People are switching off of the dollar. Recession is being predicted by a lot of economists and analysts out there in large banks. So be smart. It's not the time to be 100% all in on low cap altcoins, guys. Be responsible. Diversify across not just not just across Bitcoin and Ethereum and crypto, but potentially not financial advice here. Consider precious metals, gold, silver. Consider keeping some cash on hand. As much as I personally think the U.S. dollar is weakening and its purchasing power has been debased greatly. At the end of the day, you got to pay your bills in dollars, right? And if things get rough here, then it's not going to be ideal to not have any cash on hand. Oil, right? Oil is a great diversification, right? Commodities. Yep. So, guys, just be smart, be diversified. Don't be dumb. Don't go 100% all in on Dogecoin. Take a diversified strategy and look for opportunities as they come.
All right, there you guys have it. So remember, like always, question everything, trust nothing, and until next time, hodl like it's hot. See you.